Are you interested in building generational wealth for both you and your family and generations to come? Then this video is for you because we are going to be talking all about the pros and the cons of real estate investing right here in San Diego, California. Make sure you stick around to the end because we're going to give you the biggest pro and the biggest con at the very end. Let's go. So before we go into the pros, I just wanted to take a second and introduce myself. My name is Carrie Gonzalez. I'm with Siemienowski Associates. We are a real estate brokerage here in San Diego. We specialize in multifamily properties as well as any kind of income producing property. And so if you hit the subscribe button, we will be bringing you more content that's specific to multifamily and income properties right here in San Diego. All right, let's do this. So one of the biggest pros is actually our low vacancy rate here in San Diego. As far as right now in 2023, we're at a 3.8% vacancy, which is very low compared to the rest of the country. And then that benefit to you is you're going to be more likely as a landlord to get your units rented, right? Especially if you are in a more affordable area or have maybe a property that hasn't been completely updated. And those kind of units that are under market rent, they get snatched up very quickly. The one caveat is actually downtown San Diego. Quite a few high-rise apartment buildings have gone in and released a lot of new units into the market there. They have not all been absorbed. So the vacancy rate downtown is a little bit higher than the rest of San Diego. But in general, we have a 3.8% vacancy rate. So that's great if you want to own a property here. Another pro is actually rent growth. We have had a rent growth of around 2.5% in the last 12 months here in San Diego. Again, not the same as in the rest of the country, but real estate is market specific. And our rent growth can kind of continue. And honestly, in the last 10 years, and basically every 10 years, rents double here in San Diego. And that is because it's a beautiful place to live. We got great beaches. We got wonderful weather. We have steady jobs and a lot of different industries. We have universities here that are world class. So rent growth keeps going up here in San Diego, and that's another big pro here. Another pro is actually our diverse economy and a wide variety of different types of employers and jobs here. Our unemployment rate is actually 4.3%, which is lower than the national average. And we have a variety of biotech, hospitality, and education, all different kinds of jobs, all different kinds of industries here in San Diego. A lot of like finance jobs, software technology jobs like in Qualcomm. So that will help you get a high quality renter base for your investment here. So another huge pro about San Diego is that we have a thriving tourism industry. People love to come visit here. And although there are a lot of hotels, there's also a lot of short-term vacation rentals. So Mission Beach is a beach area that's very famous for having a lot of vacation rentals, but they actually have popped up all over San Diego. North Park is very popular. Anywhere near the beach is popular, and then downtown. So if you are interested in having a short-term rental business, that could be a great opportunity for you. I even know people that own like a duplex or a triplex that are turning those into vacation rentals as well, or they might have one of them as a vacation rental, the other as a long-term rental, and they're still doing really well. There is a little bit of regulation, but actually having some regulation is a good thing because it means the city is okay with it and they're trying to regulate it, and you at least know the rules to play with. And remember, a lot of the regulation that came is actually just within city of San Diego limits, city limits. And if you go outside of the city limits, there's not a lot of regulation, but then some of the other cities have their own. So that's just something you want to make sure you work with a realtor that's familiar with the short-term rental regulations, and always check those yourself before you actually buy the property. Another huge pro is actually the fact that San Diego has a ton of research universities and research facilities here. So we have University of San Diego, and UC San Diego is probably the premier research university. And then we also have San Diego State University and San Marcos State. So because there's so many colleges here, there's actually not enough affordable housing for students. So renting your place out and attracting students would be a great idea for you. And then in addition, some people are doing like a rent by the room model or a mini dormitory model where they actually take a really big house, maybe turn a dining room into another bedroom and have 5 or 6 bedrooms and rent those out by the room. And all the utilities are included, and it makes it convenient for the students, and they're able to make more cash flow from the asset, which is a huge perk and a huge pro in my book. Hey, if you're getting value from this content so far, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, plus the little notification bell, and that would help me out. It'll help other people just like you find this video, and that way they can learn all the things about investing in San Diego as well. All right, now we have to address some cons, although I am going to tell you the number one pro at the very end, so you got to keep watching. All right, so for my first con is actually the high property prices. So just in general, in single family homes, the median property price is around $1 million. For multifamily, right now we're at about almost around 350,000 a unit right here in 2023. That is definitely down a little bit from last year, which has kind of had the peak, and our cap rates are about 4.5% to 5%, which again is up from last year, but that means prices are down a little bit. So because right now cap rates are 4.5% to 5% and interest rates are higher than that, we're probably in the 6 to 7% for a commercial loan, probably more like 8% for some other types of loans. So because the interest rates are so high compared to the cap rate, it really makes it hard to cash flow here, right? Which is important for any investor. So that is one of the cons here, is the high prices compared to the rental income that you're getting, which is why a lot of people get very creative and do things like short-term rentals, or they do things like rent by the room, or they add ADUs and build additional units. And that's how you kind of combat the high prices. Another con is definitely it's just hard to cash flow without putting a significant amount of money down. So right now, because interest rates are where they are right now in 2023, we're seeing people having to put around 40 to 50% down on a multifamily property in order to get the rents to cover the mortgage payment. So I know that can be a little bit shocking to people, but it is what it is here. And a lot of people, again, are buying for the appreciation, they're buying for the rent growth, they're buying for the low vacancy rates and things like that. And then a lot of people are actually buying multifamily and building additional ADUs. They're converting garages, they're putting additional ADU buildings in the parking lot and things like that. So that way that they're going to be cash flowing heavier in the future once the ADUs are built. Another con is actually the competitive market that we're in here in San Diego. Definitely in the single family, there is, even now in 2023, there is bidding wars and things are going really quickly and they're going over asking price a little bit still. So, but in the multifamily world right now, it is not as competitive unless the property is priced aggressively and the seller is motivated. Not a lot of sellers are motivated because they're cash flowing. So, people are still trying to get as much as they possibly can. But like last year, we would have many multifamily properties were in, multiple offer situation, over asking, no contingencies. So that is one of the cons about San Diego for sure. So another con is property taxes. So California has property taxes at about 1.25% on average here in San Diego. It really varies by municipality and things like that. Another con is actually natural disasters. So unfortunately, we have had some wildfires out here, out in the country, out in San Diego, and then there's the occasional earthquake, which honestly isn't too damaging anymore because of our building codes. But the wildfires throughout California have actually caused a pretty big issue in terms of insurance. So a big insurance carrier left the California market basically for bigger properties, and it kind of left this void. And so insurance has become very, very expensive because of wildfire risk. And it's kind of surprising, if you're not even that close to where the wildfires were, your insurance rates are rising. So that is something you definitely want to get a quote probably before you put an offer in for insurance. A lot of insurance companies are also not liking buildings that are really old and things like that, which there is a lot of older inventory here in San Diego because, again, the building codes are and the permitting process, it takes a long time to build something new. So we tend to just have older properties here. And so that is something you definitely want to watch out for. It is a con that insurance rates are rising because of some of the natural disasters. Another con is actually zoning. So that is something you definitely want to look into before you close on a property or before you release your contingency, because you need to understand what is the zoning on the property, especially if you're trying to build an ADU. So ADU does have some, we do have some good ADU laws here in San Diego, especially in city limits, that allow you to build ADUs. It is still a permit process that can take a little while. But it is a pretty lenient program, but you definitely want to check on the zoning. If you're planning to build like 10 ADUs, you need to be certain that the zoning allows for it. And there is, the best way to do it is make sure you call yourself to the city to make sure, but also having a good realtor that has a good network of experts that can check on the zoning for you too. All right, now we are going to go over the two things that are the biggest pro and the biggest con here. So first, I'm going to start with the biggest con, so that way we can end on a high note, and the biggest pro. So one of the biggest cons is actually regulation. So it's around the landlord-tenant laws here in California, and just it also in San Diego. There is a variety of different laws, but they do tend to favor the tenant in a lot of ways. And it does make it more difficult to evict someone. There is some new regulation around no-fault eviction and things like that, and having to give people a couple months rent if you are doing a no-fault eviction on them. That's just City of San Diego limits. That's not statewide. But statewide, there is some regulation in terms of kind of like a rent control. So you can, I think the maximum is about a 10% increase a year, depending on inflation. So that's of this moment in time. That amount can adjust, and it also can change based on your municipality. So you want to make sure, especially if you're buying a property that is severely under market rent, which happens a lot in multifamily, you want to just make sure you understand the regulations, make sure you work with a good property manager to understand how you can raise those rents and what is the legal limit that you can raise them each year, and how you can do things like renovations and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to end on a high note. The biggest pro, appreciation. San Diego is an appreciation market for sure. In 2013, the average price per unit for a multifamily property was $180,000. Today, in 2023, the average price is around $350,000. So you can see in 10 years, the price per unit has basically doubled. I don't know where else you're going to see that, but that's how it is here in San Diego, and that's why people invest here. And remember, you can always use leverage here and use the bank's money and to help you buy the property, and then you get to benefit from all the appreciation. So again, that's the number one reason that people invest here. Although the average price per unit was around $400,000 per unit last year, and now it's around $350,000, $360,000, somewhere around there. Values have declined a bit because the interest rates have gone up so much. But in the long haul, we all know that that is the appreciation market here in San Diego. And so I hope you really enjoyed all my pros and cons here on Investing San Diego, and I'll see you in a second. So if you got value from this video, please give me a thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe if you want more content like this. And again, my name is Carrie Gonzalez. I'm with Siemienowski Associates. We are commercial realtors here in San Diego. I would love to help you out. Please reach out to me. I have my contact info below. And I would love to help you invest in San Diego and create multi-generational wealth for you and your family.